Hi everyone. In the last session, we discussed about cash transaction type mapping, bank statement, transaction codes, and parse rule sets. So let us continue our setups in cash management. In this session, we will focus on three setups. They are reconciliation matching rules, reconciliation tolerance rules, reconciliation matching rule sets. Before we jump into these setups, let's recall a few basic concepts. What is a bank statement and then what is a reconciliation? So, bank statement is a document which lists all the transactions happened in a bank account in a given period of time. That period of time can be a few hours or a day or multiple days. These bank statements comes to our ERP instance electronically. And then let's understand what is reconciliation. What is bank statement reconciliation? Bank statement reconciliation is nothing but matching the each transaction in bank statement to the transaction that happened in the Oracle Fusion instance. We need to tie out the bank statement transaction, an entry in bank statement, to an actual transaction that happened in the Oracle Fusion instance. These three setups that we are trying to discuss in this video helps us to automate the reconciliation process. Now let us discuss what is the concept of these three setups, what is the significance of these three setups, and then we will create those setups in the instance. So first, coming to the reconciliation matching rules. Reconciliation matching rules helps us to match bank statement lines and the system transactions to minimize the need for manual intervention. So the process is we will create a reconciliation matching rule, and we will assign that reconciliation matching rule to reconciliation matching rule set, and we will assign this rule set to a bank account, and later when we submit then we will submit the auto reconciliation process. When we do this, right, when we submit the auto reconciliation process, it picks up all the bank statements for a given account, and then it looks back what is the reconciliation matching set assigned at bank account level, and then it executes each matching rule, and it ties out the bank statement transaction line to Oracle Fusion instance transaction. And if anything left over after the auto reconciliation process, then we have to do manual reconciliation. So let me go back to a screen which illustrates how this setup will be. We will do this instance later, but this will help us to understand what is different components in this setup, right? Coming to the reconciliation matching rule, when we are defining that, first there will be sources. What these sources define is we have the bank statement, right, with multiple lines. So when we run auto reconciliation process, then what are all the sources in the Oracle Fusion instance into which the auto reconciliation process has to look into to match the bank statement line to an Oracle transaction. Let's say, Shumi, if we select only journals, then uh, auto reconciliation process will try to match the bank statement lines to only Oracle transactions from journals source. Otherwise, if we enable payables, receivables, payroll, and external applications, right, sources, then the bank statement lines are matched with Oracle transactions from all these sources, and then try to do auto reconciliation. And then matching type. There are multiple possible values for matching type: one to one, one to many, many to one, many to many, right? These are four basic matching types. So when we say if you see this matching type, there is source and destination, right? Source will be bank statement lines, and a destination will be Oracle transactions. So when we say one to one, this matching type tries to tie one bank statement line to one Oracle transaction. If you say one to many, it tries to match one bank statement lines to many Oracle transactions. If you say many to one, it tries to tie out many bank statement lines to one Oracle transaction, and similarly many to many, right? And there is a matching criteria. The possible values we can select amount, date, transaction type, reconciliation reference. This reference will be uh, transaction reference, that will be common for Oracle transaction and the bank statement transaction. If you select amount, then the amount in the bank statement line should match with the amount in the Oracle transaction. Similarly, if you select, these are like end condition. If you select amount, reconciliation reference, and transaction type to tie out one transaction from bank statement line to Oracle transaction, all these conditions has to be satisfied. Even we can build advanced conditions by going to advanced criteria, but I'm not going in that detail. And these reconciliation matching rule, as I discussed earlier, will be later assigned to reconciliation matching rule set, and then matching rule set will be assigned to bank account. So if you come over here, this rule is assigned to RS05 rule set. That is what it is showing. And then this rule set is assigned to these bank accounts. It lists all the bank accounts to which this is assigned. So I'll just move up. This is what I have shown. Like these are the possible matching types: one to one, one to many, many to one, many to many, and zero amount. And whenever there is many in matching type, so we should give the grouping attributes to, let me, yeah, we should give the grouping attributes. Let us say one to many. In this scenario, one line in bank statement, right? One transaction in bank statement is will be tied out to many transactions in Oracle. So in that case, there should be grouping attributes. From the Oracle perspective, it lists all the attributes to which we this auto reconciliation process has to look back. Let us move to the next setup: reconciliation tolerance rules. So in this reconciliation process, uh, right, we can stop the if some of the conditions are not met. Let's say if amount is not matching from the cast bank statement lines and the Oracle transaction, then we can completely stop the process, or we can define a tolerances. Let's say if that mismatch is very small amount, right? uh, we may not want to stop the tying or matching of these two, and if we may want to make the process successful. For that scenario, we will define tolerance rules, and there is a reason, right? Let's say there are, for tolerance, if you see, this is the screen, and there is date tolerance and amount tolerance, percentage amount tolerance. These two are same. Finally, they are talking about amount tolerance, and this is a date tolerance. Amount tolerance we will use when there is like currency rate differences, right? If the payments is in foreign currency, there's in few days, right, this currency keeps on changing. So to avoid those reconciliation issues, we can use amount tolerance. In some scenarios, for each transaction, right, bank can put some charges. Let's say customer pays $100, it may put like $0.1 on top of it as a transaction charge. So our Oracle transaction will have $100 as an amount, but bank statement line will have 100.01 dollars as an amount. If our matching rule is going with amount, this will fail. So in that scenario, we can define a tolerance rule and associate that to auto reconciliation rule, right? A matching rule, auto reconciliation matching rule, so that it will not stop the reconciliation process. It will get auto reconciled. So these reconciliation tolerance rules will help us in that scenario. There is amount, we can define amount tolerance and days tolerance. Um, Days tolerance comes into picture used for checks that may be issued one day on one day and not cleared by the bank until few days or weeks. Coming to the reconciliation rule sets. So now we discussed about reconciliation matching rule and then tolerance rule. Reconciliation rule set will group the matching rules and tolerance rules. They are assigned to bank account and used to reconcile bank statement lines with Oracle transactions. So for one bank account, right, this set will have can have multiple matching rules. If you see, right, it has multiple matching rules and with the corresponding matching type. And for each matching rule, we can associate a tolerance rule. So this set can have many things. And when when auto reconciliation process is submitted and when it is processing the bank statement, right, bank statement for, let's say, assume BNP this bank, right, and if this reconciliation set, this is assigned to this bank account. So when auto reconciliation process, when it is processing the bank statement for this bank, it will execute all these matching rules in sequence. First it will execute this and it will tie out bank statement lines to Oracle transactions, and then it will execute the next matching rule, and whatever left transaction bank statement lines are remaining, it applies this rule on top of the remaining bank statement lines and then applies the next one. It goes in sequence, executes each rule, and then try to match the bank statement line to Oracle transactions. So these are the recommendations when we are creating the reconciliation rule set, right? If there is any rule which is one-to-one match, which looks in very specific scenario with one-to-one match, then they should be put over here as a first priority. And if there are any rules which can match the bank statement lines to Oracle transactions uh, with broader criteria, right? Maybe based on the date range or with some transaction level, attribute level, then they should go to the lower precedence. That way, we will we will have very few bank statement lines which are not reconciled and which require a manual intervention. So to give you some picture, these setups anyway we'll do in the instance, but before we just do that, right, let us understand the concept. I have to give the better picture how it works, right? If you see these four columns which are in yellow color, these are the lines from the bank statement, right? And whatever is there in blue color, let's assume these are the transactions in the Oracle instance. Then when we submit auto reconciliation process, it tries to process each record from the bank statement and it tries to match it to the Oracle transactions, which are these things. And by applying some matching rule that we have defined, and now we will check will it reconcile it. If not, what we can do that in our uh, reconciliation match set, how we can enhance that match set so that these things will get reconciled automatically in the next run, right? Let us assume on 18th October, we have a payment transaction. Report came from bank statement for $100 with the transaction reference as 7001. And our matching rule is one-to-one match type with criteria as reference and amount. It means the reference, transaction reference that is there in the bank statement and in the Oracle should match, and even the amount should also match. So here in the bank statement, amount is $1,000, and in the Oracle it is $1,000, and even the transaction reference are matching. So auto reconciliation process reconciles this bank statement line. Now, let us take the second record in the bank statement. Here it is for $2,000 and transaction reference is 7002. And in the instance, the transaction reference are matching, but if the transaction amount is 1985, it is $15 less than what is there in the bank statement. And if our matching rule is one-to-one match with the criteria has reference and amount, then it will fail because the amounts are not matching. So it will not reconcile this line. So in this scenario, if we create a tolerance rule for amount, and then if we associate that tolerance rule in the matching rule set for the matching rule, then even this line also will get reconciled. Let us take a third scenario. There is a payment transaction for $2,000 and transaction difference is 7003. And criteria with reference and amount. Mhm. Yeah, let us take if it is 5, right? In this scenario, amounts are matching, but transaction reference is not matching. If we want uh, our auto reconciliation process to reconcile, even if just amounts are matching, even if transaction numbers are not matching, if just amount matches, if you want to reconcile those lines also, then if we just have one matching rule, which is one-to-one, criteria is reference and amount, then it will fail. So in this scenario, we can create one more rule, right? One-to-one, and criteria is just amount. We will remove the reference, just amount, and we will give this rule as first priority, precedence 1, right? And if you give this as second one with precedence 2, then even this bank statement line will get reconciled by auto reconciliation process. So that is how, like in the as per our business requirement and how the bank statement comes, and as per the requirement from our business, we will be building our auto reconciliation matching set with multiple auto reconciliation matching rules, right, and associated tolerance levels, and we will keep them in a sequence such that most of the lines from the bank statement will get reconciled as for the business requirements, and anything left over, that we will do a manual reconciliation. So how we do manual reconciliation, that again we will look how we do auto reconciliation. These are the topics, further topics, which we will see in the next videos. So now as we went through the concept, now I will switch on to the instance and I will create these setups. I'm in financials, searching with manage reconciliation. So first we'll create manage bank statement reconciliation matching rules. I'll create SM1 to 1 I'll select my rule looks into the Oracle transactions from all the sources, payables, receivables, payrolls, external and journal, from all the sources when it is trying to reconcile a bank statement to match it with Oracle transactions. It looks for transactions from all these sources and it looks for one-to-one match. And I'll put the amount. Amount is already checked, and I'll add even reconciliation reference. So reconciliation reference means it is a transaction reference of Oracle, and then it will be available even in the bank statement. If there's both those two are matching, then this will be reconciled. That's how I'm building this rule. So I'll save and close. So if I open this, right now this is not associated with any rule set, so this is showing null. And that it is not associated, this rule set, this is not associated with any bank account, so we are not seeing any data. Let us just make a note of that. And now I'll move to the next setup, tolerances. Let us search with this bank statement reconciliation tolerance rules. Click on it, create a new tolerance rule. I'll say SM tolerance rule. I'm enabling date tolerance. If bank statement comes with today's date, and even if Oracle transaction is created 3 days before or after, right? Like it could be vice versa. If it is even if their dates are not matching, if they are in a margin of 3 days, then uh, we will reconcile, right? If we assign this tolerance rule, then auto reconciliation program reads this and then reconciles those transactions. Even I'll enter amount. I'll say $10 above or below, and percentage. I'll give 1%. I'll save this. Now let me reopen this the tolerance rule, and this is not associated to any rule set and not to any bank account, so they're not displayed. Now I'll create rules matching rule set, right? This is the bank statement reconciliation rule set. I'll name it as SM rule set. Now we have to associate the matching rule and tolerance rule. We have just created SM one-to-one matching rule. And SM tolerance rule. So as I spoke in the last, right, in like when we are discussing about the concept, I said, right, we should be defining multiple matching rules in the rule set and associate with the bank account, so that we will not have any reconciliation issues as for business requirement. So for demo purpose I just assigned, but in the real time when we are actually working in the Fusion on a project, generally we will have multiple business requirements from the business, and it will have multiple criteria. Based on that, we will define multiple matching rules and then create a rule set, and we will associate that to the bank account. Let me save and close. Now if we go back to any of the matching rule or tolerance rule, right, and if you look at that, now we can see to the set to which this is assigned. Let me open this. Now this matching rule is assigned to SM rule set. So now it is showing that it is assigned, and it is not assigned to any bank account, so it is not displaying anything. So that's it for today. We have covered the reconciliation matching rules, tolerance rules, and matching rule sets. We discussed the significance of them and we created the setups. So, in brief, we create matching rules to match the bank statement lines to Oracle transactions, and then tolerances, add tolerances on top of it if to reduce the rejections in this reconciliation process. And then we'll add multiple matching rules to a matching rule set and associate it with a bank account, so that when auto reconciliation process is doing the reconciliation for a bank account, it runs all the matching rules and associated tolerances and do the reconciliation. And in the next video we will look how to associate these rule sets to the bank account, and I'll discuss a few more setups in the next video. Thank you.